Hi everyone, and welcome back to Big Blonde and Beautiful, the podcast. If you're new here, my name's Kara Howie, and each week I pick a piece of media with that representation in it. I talk about whether or not I think it's positive or negative. If you're watching the video and you're like, hey, this looks like the same setup, same clothes, same everything that she had on for the Bridget Jones Diary episode, you would be correct. I'm recording 2 episodes because it's the holiday season, and I want to make sure I'm able to edit them properly and just get everything out on time. So, yeah, it's still going to be a good time. So, this week, we're going to be talking about the movie Real Women Have Curves. Until I started doing this podcast, I'd never heard of this movie. When I started, I wanted to make sure that this premise of talking about that representation would have longevity, that there were enough things to talk about. So I looked up a bunch of, that mid-size characters and movies and all that stuff, and I found this movie. And I'm actually really glad I did. I enjoyed watching it, unlike Bridget Jones' Diary. So I'm excited to talk about this one. In case you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it, but I'm going to give you guys a little synopsis about the movie. The story of first-generation Mexican-American girl and her passage to womanhood. Although she wants to go away to college, she must battle against the views of her parents, who think she should stay at home and provide for the family. As a compromise, she works with her mother in a sewing factory over the summer and learns some important lessons about life, helping her make a decision about her future. So when I first decided to do this movie, I wasn't too sure about what I was getting into watching it, because last season I did Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and the lead in this movie is America Ferrera, also in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And as we know, with Thick or Stick, she's definitely more stick. And I believe after Barbie came out that she did some interviews saying, like, yeah, I was never really fat. Like, I just was mid-size, I had curves, like, and people were just like, again, early 2000s, they were like, you're fat, so we're gonna put you in this. And I always wonder what that must do to someone mentally who, before you get into the industry, you consider yourself average weight wise or even thin, and then you get there and they are constantly casting you in the fat character or the ugly character. That must really mess with your mind. I don't know how it couldn't. And so I think, all things considered, America Ferrera is doing amazing. Like I said, she was just in the Barbie movie, and she was so good. So good. I wasn't sure what I would think about this, positive or negative, going into it. But I'm gonna share some of those thoughts with you right now. So this movie is basically the OG Lady Bird. If you haven't seen Lady Bird, one of my favorite movies, but both movies consist of a toxic mother-daughter relationship. The mother is very critical of the daughter, and the daughter just wants to, like, get away, be different. She's kind of ashamed about where she comes from. So it's basically the original / Hispanic version of Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird. I think that this movie does a great job with the complexities of intersectionality, meaning like how race and where you're categorized economically, your gender, your body type, things like that, how they all play a part in your identity and how you are viewed and treated in society. You know, unfortunately, people of color, queer people, fat people, poor people are treated badly. And then if you are someone who is all of those things, which our character is not in this, but she's most of those things, it is not easy. And I think it does a really amazing job at exploring that and depicting it on the screen. Her mom is so horrible. Like, Lady Bird's mom, I thought was bad, but like, this lady takes the cake. I think I also saw a comment somewhere about this movie that said it also shows how all this struggle can lead to holding on to certain values that are unhealthy and toxic and pushing those values or those traditions. So I think that is very evident in this. Her mom, immediately, first scene, she's like, oh my goodness, I can't get out of bed. I need to do this. She wants her daughter to miss her last day of high school to make breakfast for the family just because she's feeling a little under the weather. And she's obviously an older woman, so she has some ailments, but she's really hamming it up. You can tell that she's the type of woman that likes to guilt others into things. So this mom not only fat shames both of her daughters, but her coworkers as well. And she calls America Ferrera's character Butterball a few times throughout this movie. I think she's insecure herself, and she's scared of losing the power that she holds over the people around her, and she uses body shaming to keep that power. And also passive aggressiveness. She's very passive aggressive. It's bad. But despite her toxic mother, who basically just wants her to work in a sweatshop for the rest of her life and just stay with the family, Anna is very independent and self-sufficient. She knows who she is, and she knows what she wants. She knows what she has to do to get it, and she goes for it. She is just such a badass. I really admired that because I haven't been quite in this situation, but I've definitely struggled with being a people pleaser, and to see just a strong female character who is, even though she's being put down and she's being put in these awkward and uncomfortable positions by her family, mostly, actually, by her family, period, she is still able to rise above it and figure out what she wants to do with her life and go for it. And I think that that is amazing. She is a little insecure about her body. I don't know if it's insecurity necessarily, or if it's just she recognizes that she is not the beauty standard. And so she kind of preemptively states it and makes it known, because she's seeing this one boy in it and she's like, you're gonna go off to college and find a skinny girl, like, just forget about me. She didn't have to bring up the weight at all, but I think she's just been told so much that she's not beautiful because of her weight, and then she sees how people are treated because of their weight, and she is like, yeah. And so she is kind of on the defense, I guess, where she's like, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna bring it up before other people can, so that I feel like I'm in control and I have the power. Despite this, she really isn't ashamed of her body. Like, there's even a scene of her, like, saying, after, when her and her boyfriend are having sex, she's like, turn on the lights, I want you to see me. And she looks in the mirror at herself and she just is like, wow, I am beautiful. And I think that that is so good. Also, in this movie, other than America Ferrera, there are actually other bigger bodied actors, quite a few. It's a very diverse casting in terms of body types, which is very rare to see and very nice to see. I think that whoever made this movie, I think that they went for realistic, and I feel like not enough movies do that. They're like, no, we have to pick what society thinks is the most beautiful people. There can even be fat extras. And that's not realistic. You're not going to walk down, I don't even know, wherever, and never see a fat person or a disabled person or a black person, Hispanic person, whatever. That is not going to happen. Oh, her mom also, I meant to bring this up earlier. She does this thing. She is like, you don't walk ladylike or whatever. I hate the term ladylike. I talked about it last week. If you want to hear more about it, go over there. I hate it. I feel like it's made to make women conform and to make them feel small and feel like they need to take up less space. And I absolutely despise it. So, ladies, don't be ladylike. Just do what you want. Who cares? I also wanted to address the importance of this being a primarily Hispanic cast. So when I was in college, I would take classes for film, obviously, like that's part of my major. And one class we were talking about representation, and we watched a documentary about it, like interviewed kids, Hispanic children, on what they saw in the media and how that reflected them or how that made them feel about themselves. And there isn't very much. And a lot of it is very stereotypical, like violent gangsters, things like that. And those children, despite being, young, like in grade school, they recognized that wasn't accurate and that it made them kind of feel bad about themselves. And I think that having such a big cast of minority people is rare and is very important, along with fat representation. All representation is important. I think that this movie just does a great job overall with representation. I really enjoyed it. I might not have fully related to it other than the moments where they're talking about body types, but I did enjoy it. So last thing I want to talk about before we get to positive or negative is there's this one scene. So they are working in a factory, like a dress factory. Anna calls it a sweatshop. I think it basically is a sweatshop. I mean, you don't have AC, you're sweating, you're not getting paid enough. Sweatshop. She's like over an iron, steaming this dress. She's like, I am so hot. And her sister says, we can't turn on the fans because they get dust on the dresses. And so she takes off her shirt. And her mom's like, oh my goodness, we don't want to see that. That's ugly. That's fat. She's like, put your shirt back on. She goes, Mom, I am hot. I don't want to wear it. Like, there's nothing wrong. We're all women here. No one else is coming in. Like, I don't want to wear my shirt. Honestly, she probably would have gone completely naked if she could have. She stands up for herself and she's like, I happen to like the way that I am. I think I'm sexy. And one of my favorite things that she says, I do want to lose weight, but part of me doesn't, because it just tells the world, like, fuck you. You don't get to dictate how I look or how I dress or things like that. And I feel that so deeply in my soul. I do this podcast and I dress the way I do because for so long I have let the world tell me to be smaller and that I don't belong and that I can't wear certain things and that I can't do certain things because of how I look. And it has pissed me off enough, and I have had enough encouragement from people that I've met online, building a community for myself, my amazing friends. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to wear what I want to wear. So whenever you see me out and about posting in a crop top, that's what I'm telling the world. Screw you. You don't control me. I'm going to do what I want. Anyway, The other ladies follow suit and they end up taking off their clothes. Her mom runs out because she's like embarrassed, even though literally they are the only ones there. Girl, who cares? Are you really that fat phobic? And then they continue working like that. They're in their bras and panties, like they're hot. You know, it's hot in there. They just want to be comfortable, at least as comfortable as they can be. I really like that scene and I like that line. Positive or negative? I bet you'll never guess. Again, I feel like it's very obvious. I am gonna say positive, even though America Ferrera is not fat. For 2002 standards, she definitely was, unfortunately. She was made to feel that way, and she was cast that way. And even though I wouldn't consider her fat, I would consider her, at this point in her life, mid-size. Now she's just skinny. But at this point, mid-size. She's got some, some hips, some boobs, some butt. Despite the fact that I don't consider her fat, I still think it is positive representation for, like, mid-sized people. Because she is just so okay with who she is, and not only okay with it, but she's proud of who she is with how she looks. And we need more characters like that for women, for all types of minorities. We just need that. And so I definitely think that this is positive. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, share, comment, rate us 5 stars, all the things. You can follow the podcast on TikTok at bbb.thepodcast and Instagram at bbb.podcast. You can also follow me on all social media at Carolina Howie. And until next week, stay fat and fabulous. Bye.